more than 10,000 white South African farmers have expressed interest in relocating to the United States following an executive order signed by President Donald Trump. The move has sparked intense debate, raising concerns about the potential economic and social consequences for South Africa. On the 7th of February, 2025, Trump signed an executive order freezing aid to South Africa and prioritizing the resettlement of Afrikaners in the United States as refugees. The White House cited South Africa's recently enacted Expropriation Act, arguing that it discriminates against the white minority population by allowing the state to seize land without compensation. The administration further accused the South African government of fostering policies that undermine equal opportunities and contribute to racially targeted violence against landowners, according to the order. The U.S. Secretary of State and Secretary of Homeland Security will take steps to admit and resettle Afrikaners under the United States Refugee Admissions Program. The directive aims to provide humanitarian relief to those allegedly facing systemic discrimination. Speaking to CBC News, Neil Diamond, president of the South African Chamber of Commerce in the USA, warned of a potential mass exodus of skilled agricultural professionals. He noted that within just 18 hours of the executive order's announcement, over 10,000 inquiries had been received from South Africans seeking information on refugee status and relocation to the U.S. He emphasized that the departure of experienced farmers could have severe consequences for South Africa's food security, agricultural value chain, and economic stability. Additionally, Diamond noted that the chamber supports approximately 11,000 temporary South African agricultural workers under the U.S. H-2A visa program, many of whom may also seek permanent relocation along with their families. Diamond urged both governments to engage in urgent diplomatic discussions to address the underlying causes of this executive order and explore solutions that do not compromise economic stability. At this stage, we do not have a clear understanding of what led the U.S. president to take this action, he said. However, we have always maintained that policy decisions should be based on facts rather than misinformation. Resettlement is not an option, the South African Trade Union Solidarity movement acknowledged that some Afrikaners might consider emigration but rejected mass resettlement as a viable solution. Solidarity chairperson Flip Eyes emphasized that Afrikaners are deeply rooted in South Africa, its history and culture, and should focus on building a future within the country rather than seeking asylum abroad. The repatriation of Afrikaners as refugees is not a solution. We want to build a future in South Africa, he said. The South African government has strongly condemned the executive order, describing it as misleading and based on misinformation. The Department of International Relations and Cooperation criticized the decision as factually inaccurate, arguing that it misrepresents South Africa's socioeconomic landscape. The government also pointed out the inconsistency in the U.S. granting refugee status to a relatively privileged group while denying asylum to vulnerable populations from other parts of the world. President Cyril Ramaphosa's office reiterated that South Africa remains a constitutional democracy governed by the rule of law. The government maintains that the expropriation bill does not amount to land confiscation, but instead provides a legal framework for fair and lawful land redistribution. Officials called for constructive dialogue between the two nations, emphasizing diplomacy over unilateral actions. The Sunday Times reported that Ramaphosa will send envoys to Washington to persuade Trump to reconsider. Business leaders are also expected to meet their U.S. counterparts, especially those with links to Musk, who has emerged as one of the most powerful people in Washington. Well-placed officials indicated that a meeting has been scheduled for tomorrow to devise a strategy before the high-powered government delegation leaves for Washington. It has also been established that the DA, which is part of the Government of National Unity, will send its own delegation to engage us decision-makers on the diplomatic standoff that has serious implications for the South African economy.